The Arctic region includes a vast ice-covered ocean. This pristine yet rugged environment is one of the least explored and understood places on Earth. Due to climate changes, summer Arctic ice cover is diminishing, and scientists therefore believe it is vitally important to get a better understanding of this environment and what impact future changes might bring to our world. Operating from the U.S. Coast Guard icebreaker Healy, NOAA scientists have been involved in studying the sea ice, the water column, and the sea floor. Their missions have used the latest cutting-edge technology. One recent expedition sent a remotely operated vehicle equipped with a high-definition camera as deep as 9,000 feet, providing us with a never-before-seen view into the frigid waters. By using the ROV, multi-nets, and bottom trawlers, scientists were also able to collect samples of creatures in the water column and on the sea floor, some of which were previously unknown. A technique called ice coring was also utilized to help gather information on sea ice algae. All of this research has helped create a more complete understanding of the Arctic food web and the linkages that exist between the ice, water, and seafloor in this harsh environment. Scientists aboard the Healy have also been mapping the Arctic seafloor. A multi-beam echo sounder has been used to create three-dimensional views of the bottom of the ocean. These maps can help scientists understand the geological aspects and the climate history of the Arctic. This technology also led to the discovery of a new and complex underwater mountain. The Healy Seamount is a stunning find that rises more than 3,000 meters off the ocean floor. The Arctic is one of the most remote and uncharted areas of the world. With all the amazing discoveries hidden in the ice and water, Arctic exploration can truly be considered a new scientific frontier.
The Arctic is widely considered to be one of the last great frontiers for human development, particularly in the realm of mineral extraction, oil and natural gas, as well as being a potential shortcut between Asian and European markets for shippers. But there are problems here, and none of this is about to happen. The far north is the far north because it's cold. The Arctic zone extends well past the northern shore of Eurasia and North America, and every winter sea ice closes all of the passages. Until such time as these areas are open not just in the summer, but year-round. And year-round in the coldest winter, there is no economic rationale behind putting aids of navigation. Modern-day ships don't simply travel on prearranged routes. They travel on routes that are constantly monitored. That monitoring system is expensive. And when you're talking about getting competitive advantages via shipments that are half a world away, you need every little advantage you can get. And at this point, should a ship go into an area that is not adequately charted and supported, if it does run into any problems, the loss of that ship and the insurance costs alone just simply make this non-viable. So if global warming is true, and if you buy into the most severe interpretation of the data that's out there, you're still looking at a minimum of 20 to 25 years before the northern route could be open. Oil and natural gas could be a different issue. Most estimates put that at a Saudi Arabia or two that could potentially be up there simply because of the amount of territory involved. But again, there's the problem with the ice. Moving sea ice is the most difficult condition to drill in. In the few places in the world where it is done, mostly in the Caspian Sea, first an artificial island is built, and then the drills work from that island drilling down into the seabed. But the northern Caspian, the water is only about 3 meters deep. At the deepest part of the northern Caspian, maybe 10 meters. You're dealing with water depths in excess of 300 meters in most parts of the Arctic, so building an artificial island simply is not an option. So you've got to wait again until the ice not just recedes, but doesn't come back. What you have to wait for is for a completely submersible technology that can operate under the ice, or at least under the ice whenever the need arises. This technology does exist. It's very expensive, however, and it was only now being field tested in a few areas in Norway. As deep water technology and submersible technology merge, you're looking at some very favorable options, but then you still have one more problem. You have to bring this energy to market. And the far north is nearly 2,000 miles away from the nearest population center anywhere, and that's assuming you're going to Moscow, which already has an excess of crude and natural gas production. It's going to be a long time before the technology develops that Arctic oil can be produced with any sort of competitive advantage, unless the ice melts first. Under current international law with the law of the sea, things are in flux right now. You may remember that there were all kinds of debates about 2 years ago about who owned what in the Arctic, and everyone was placing claims. First, you have the Russians, whose claims in the Arctic Ocean go past the North Pole, actually. And then you have a coalition of Denmark, Canada, the United States, and Norway, all 4 of them NATO countries. And so they tend to coordinate their efforts a little bit more. The Law of the Sea Secretariat now has to take those claims, sort through them, consult scientists, and build an actual database of who owns what where. That will take at least a decade. And at the end of that process, any state that doesn't like what the Law of the Sea came back with will challenge it, and there will be litigation. So ironically, 20, 25, 30 years from now, when the technology is finally ready, when the Arctic is finally melted enough, we may actually have the legal basis to tap the Arctic, but not until then.
What is Arctic Circle?
The Arctic Circle includes the northernmost third or so of Alaska, as well as the Chukchi Sea, which separates the part of Alaska from Russia and US territorial and exclusive economic zone waters north of Alaska.
Excuse me.
Yes.
What is Arctic Circle?
Arctic Circle for me. It includes 8 countries, which are the United States or Alaska, Canada, Russia, Norway, Denmark, and Finland, Sweden, and Iceland. They have territory north of the Arctic Circle and are often referred to as the Arctic countries. Subsets of the 8 Arctic countries are the 5 countries that are considered Arctic coastal states, which are the United States, Canada, Russia, Norway, and Denmark.
Excuse me.
Yes?
You know what Arctic Circle means?
One moment, please. I think Arctic Circle, from the name itself, the Arctic means all United States and foreign territory north of the Arctic Circle, and all United States territory north and west of the boundary formed by the Porcupine, Yukon, and Kuskokwim rivers. I think based on here, it's from Alaska. All contiguous seas, including the Arctic Ocean, Beaufort, Bering, and Chukchi Seas, and the Aleutian Chain. Yeah, it's Aleutian Chain.
Thank you. Excuse me. You know what Arctic Circle means?
Isn't Arctic circles another definition based on a climate-related factor that could be circumscribed differing areas over time as a result of climate change?
Good afternoon and welcome to toursem!
Sam!
toursem!
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Elmore. Good afternoon, Adam. I know some of our audience are probably wondering what Arctic Circle means. Right, audience?
Yes!
So to start off our show, we'll be giving you the answers right after this opening number.
And now let us all welcome toursem rappers for our opening number.
Yes! The diminishment of Arctic sea ice has led to increased human activities in the Arctic and has heightened interest in the concerns about the region's future, especially the United States. Yo!
The Arctic has been projected by several scientists to be ice-free by the late 2030s in the late summer. The diminishment of Arctic sea ice between the coming years to increase commercial shipping on 2 trans-Arctic sea routes.
Yo! The Russian claim to the enormous underwater Lomonosov Bridge, if accepted, would reportedly grant Russia nearly 1/2 of the Arctic Sea. Whoa! There are also 4 other unresolved Arctic territorial disputes. Whoa! Yo, the Arctic has increasingly become a subject of discussion among political leaders of the nation in the region. Although there is significant international cooperation on Arctic issues, the Arctic is also increasingly being viewed by some observers as a potential emerging security issue.
The Arctic coastal states have indicated a willingness to establish or maintain a military presence in the high north U.S.
U.S. military forces, particularly the Navy and Coast Guard, have begun to pay more attention to the region. Yo! Woo! 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 Yeah!
Global warming may trigger conflict between Russia and the US, according to an EU report. They are both seeking control of the Arctic's vast energy resources. As the ice caps melt and the area opens up for exploitation of its raw materials, the stakes are becoming ever higher.
The Arctic's hydrocarbon resources are extremely important for the whole world, and though they are difficult to access and very expensive to develop, their amount is huge, and it is the last untapped place on our planet. In fact, they are the future generation's hydrocarbon resource stocks.
Satellite photos from the European Space Agency show a passage through the ice, from northern Canada to Alaska to Greenland. The waters are now exposing untapped mineral resources. Russia and the US are the two main players in a race to secure rights to the Arctic. Canada, Norway and Denmark may also be involved. The race heated up last year when a team of Russian scientists planted the national flag by the North Pole. It's thought that about 25% of the world's undiscovered oil and gas reserves are in the Arctic. The UN panel on climate change has predicted that polar regions could be almost ice-free by the summer of 2070, meaning those resources will become increasingly accessible. As the ice melts, new shipping routes will appear. The distance travelled by ship between Scandinavia and Japan could be halved. But wildlife will also disappear with the ice. The European Union is now calling for an Arctic policy to be drawn up to deal with the changing geopolitics of the region. And the EU report highlights the importance of preparing for future crises climate change may bring about, both in the Arctic and throughout the rest of the world.
Climate change is a threat supplier and a threat multiplier, and that would have consequences and increase risks for societies almost everywhere on the globe.
The world's changing climate is expected to destabilize other regions that hold large mineral deposits, such as in Central Asia and the Middle East. This is why, for international organizations like the EU, energy security is of the utmost importance for policymakers.